सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम्
Acharya
अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे
Param.
गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ सहनौ भुनक्तु सहनौ भुनक्तु वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति. Okay, so we were discussing the topic of different types of karma. I will just mute you all. And we have talked about kamya karma and nishiddha karma. So here we are going to talk about, let's talk about kamya karma. We'll talk about nishiddha karma in topic number 8. So we'll just recite it. Nishiddhani narakadhanishtaha sadhanani brahmana hananadini Okay. So he is defining nishiddha karma, which, as you know, nishiddha means prohibited karma. So those actions which may, give you some immediate benefits, some immediate gratification, but which are likely to generate punyam and therefore will give you painful consequences in the future. And therefore you should note that whenever we say nishiddha karma, prohibited karma, the Shastra prohibits it because even though it may give you some immediate benefit, in the long term, it will have some painful consequences because of the papam generated. Nishiddha karma will not give you immediate pain. That is for certain. Why? Why can we say that nishiddha karma can never give you immediate pain? This advanced class. Everybody has to, think.
Because we are doing it for our own selfish motives, and we get immediate benefit, but long-term harm.
My question is, why can nishiddha karma? We are saying nishiddha karma can give you immediate benefit. Why is it safe to assume that nishiddha karma cannot give you immediate pain?
Acharya, is it because it's going to be aragam?
No, it's very simple reason actually.
Because when we perform karma, the karma, what was the name of the karma that you cannot see?
Karma.
The karma that cannot be seen takes time to happen. Depends on the karma paladata.
Else we would not do it in the first place.
Exactly. Aditi is right. Because if it was going to give you a pain, why would you do it in the first place? I mean, you have to learn to think rationally, right? And if it's giving you immediate pain, you will not do it in the first place. And therefore, there would be no need for Veda to prohibit. And therefore, it gives you immediate pleasure and future pain. But future pain is always of a much higher proportion than the immediate pleasure. And therefore, the prohibition. Okay, so remember, this kind of thinking is what sharpens your intellect. And that is the speciality of VedantaSaara. You will keep on, getting these questions. And if you answer the questions properly, they're all Mannam questions. And as and when we go through the topic, they shall occur to you. And if you are able to answer them immediately, you will find that your understanding is increasing, your intellect is getting sharper. So he says, Naraka, it has to be carefully broken up. Naraka adi anishta sadhanani. That Narakadi, that particular thing, Narakadi anishta sadhanani, has to be broken up into Naraka adi anishta sadhanani. So sadhanani, the sadhyam, the product, the effect of the karma is what? Anishtam. Anishtam means unwanted consequences. Like what? Narakadi. Like Naraka, that is hell. Like the acquisition of hell, like the gaining of hell, etc., etc. So any of these painful lokas you will go to. And they say Naraka because Naraka is supposed to be the highest negative result of any karma. Right? If your karma is very bad, then you will spend some time in Naraka, where you will go through a lot of problematic situations and undergo a lot of pain. And therefore, this is the definition of Nishiddha karma. Remember, Tattvabodha didn't give any such definition. So here, definition of Nishiddha karma is that karma which leads to anishta consequences, anishta phalam, unwanted consequences like naraka, etc. And he gives an example. What kind of karma will lead to such a negative result? Brahmana hana, Brahmana hananam adini. Hananam is killing. Brahmana hananam is killing a Brahman, etc. Adis, etc. So killing a Brahmana. It can be a Guna Brahmana also. And killing a Guna Brahmana is considered to be a very big sin in the Vedas, because that person is meant to give knowledge. He is supposed to be a very ethical person, giving knowledge to the world. And if you kill a Guna Brahmana, that is considered as a papam. And the consequence of killing a Guna Brahmana is said to be going to Naraka. Therefore, he gives the example. Okay. So one should not say here that, okay, I won't kill Guna Brahmana. It is all right to kill other people. It is not. This is only an example. Okay. Now please unmute yourself. We are looking at topic number 9. Nityani.
Nityani.
Akarane pratyavaya sadhanani.
Akarane
Pratyavaya
sadhanani.
Sandhya vandanani adini.
Sandhya
Okay. So, Nityani. Those Nitya karmas. What are Nitya karmas? Karmas which are prescribed by the Vedas, like the Panchamaha Yajna, etc. These are Nitya karmas. Akarane. If you do not do your Nitya karmas, if you do not perform your Nitya karmas, Pratyavaya sadhanani. Pratyavayam is the karma phalam. Pratyavayam is what? It's a type of papam, type of sin. It's called Pratyavaya papam. And this is the definition of Nitya karma. Remember, this Nitya karma has not been defined earlier, but it's defined here in a negative way. Akarane pratyavaya sadhanani is Nityani. Those karmas which, if not performed, will increase your papam. That is called Nitya karma. The definition of Nitya karma is given here. Interesting definition. The omission of any karma which produces pratyavaya papam, that karma is called Nitya karma. And he gives an example, Sandhya Vandanam, etc. So Sandhya Vandanam is a compulsory prayer for all Vaidikas. You're supposed to do it 3 times a day. And of course, that is one of the daily prayers falling under Nitya karma. Of course, we also know that Panchamaha Yajna is also under Nitya karma. So when we say Akarane Pratyavaya, this Akarane Pratyavaya words, do you remember having heard it anywhere before? All of you may not heard, but some of you who have been in the advanced classes should know. What is Akarane Pratyavaya? Where do you hear it before? Nobody remembers?
Sir, in Bhagavad Gita?
Yes, but what? In connection with what?
Akarmanyevadhikaraste something, मुझे पूरा श्लोक नहीं याद है.
Nothing like that. Nothing like that. So this is a 2 words which have been analyzed at very great length by Shankaracharya in Gita Bhashyam. And those who have, I mean, if you all have, I don't know whether those who are only in BG5 would not have heard, but those who are in BG3 or in BG1 or in Upanishad would definitely have known. So there we said that, you know, there is a, in Shastram, to get papam, what do you need to do?
You have to have a not so good, a bad intention when you perform an action.
Right. And therefore, the question is, Akarane. Akarane means not having done. So the question here is that to generate a karma phalam, you need to do a karma. Correct? You agree with me? And therefore, by not doing a karma phalam, how can you generate karma?
When it's like the dust example that you gave us the other day, when we don't clean the house constantly, the dust starts naturally accumulating by the things
If
that,
you
for
remember
example,
that, you should have known that that explanation is in connection with this only. Akarane pratyavaya. Pratyavaya papam only. You see, what happens is that not doing a karma cannot give you papam, because any karma phalam requires karma. And therefore, this your nitya karma is said to be karma which, regular doing of which cleanses your accumulated papam. Because you get small papam every day. Small things you do, you crush a fly, you put Dettol on the cockroach, all those things happen. Unavoidable violence is always there in our lives because of the way we are built. And that all generates papam. And nitya karma, if you do prescribed nitya karma, Shastra says that it takes care of neutralizing those papam. And akarane pratyavaya means by not doing those nitya karmas, what is happening is that the papam which has been accumulated is not being, it's not being cleaned up, it's not being neutralized. And therefore, the effects of that papam will be felt. So Shankaracharya says in his commentary that here you have to understand it not as a generator of papam, but as a revealer of accumulated papam. I hope that is clear. Any doubts on that? It's a very important statement, akarane pratyavaya. This pratyavaya papam, that word you will come across lots of times in a study of Shastram, in both Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishad, as well as your Prakana Grantha. That you must know that by not doing any karma, you cannot generate papa. And then because Shastra says that because you don't do nitya karma, you are going to get some papam, it has to be understood in this way. Nitya karma neutralizes the papam which is otherwise being done by us. And by not doing nitya karma, that papam is not neutralized. And therefore, it is revealed. So I have given the example, like daily sweeping. It cleans the house of your dust. Now, if you don't sweep, the not sweeping is not the cause of the dust being generated. It is the cause of the dust being revealed. By not sweeping, the daily sweeping doesn't take place, and the dust continues to accumulate. And if you say that dust has accumulated because I have not swept, now it's a word we use. It means that the accumulation of the dust has been done because that is a natural process. By not sweeping, you are able to see the dust. It is the same logic over here. Any doubts on that? It's a very, very important concept. That's why I'm asking.
Acharya?
Yeah.
So when you mentioned the Sandhya Bandhana, the 3 daily prayers, is there a specific prayer or any prayer?
It's a very specific prayer. So unless you have unless you are doing the, karma kanda part of it, it is, you can replace it with any prayer. If you have been studying karma kanda, then that Sandhya Vandanam is mandatory. And because you have the tying of the thread around your waist, and then this starts, After Upanayam, these things have to be done. Anyway, so we are not in the karma kanda portion. This is only for information. You can replace it with any regular prayer of yours, any Parayanam, any Gita part, but every day you must pray, because that prayer actually takes care of your accumulated papa. Okay, now look at topic number 10. So we're going to another type of karma. So we will chant. Naimittikani. Putra Janmat. Anubandhini Jyotishthyadini. Okay, so as you can see, the whole thing is in prose from now onwards. He here is describing the Naimittika karma. Nitya karma has been handled. Nishiddha karma has been handled. Kamya karma has been handled. Now Naimittika karma. Okay, so we take Nitya and Naimittika together. So Naimittika means which is triggered by a nimittam. A nimittam is a particular triggering occasion, on specific occasions. Nimittam means the cause actually. So any activity which is not general, if it is to be regularly done, it is Nitya karma, like a daily puja, all those things. But there are activities which are to be done on specific occasions. So those specific occasions are the nimittam, the triggering factor. It is not optional. Okay, it is compulsory, but it is not daily, but it is to be done as and when the occasion arises. And he gives an example. Putra janmat anubandhini, like those connected to the birth of a child. When a child is born, a particular homa is done. That's called Jateshte homa. Okay, so that's what he says. Jateshte adini. See, for everything is given example. Nimitta karma, Naimittika karma is karma to be done on a specific occasions. He gives the example of the occasion of the birth of a child in the family. On that day, a homa called Jateshta is done. And if when the child is born and the Jateshta is not done, then what will happen? Pratyavaya papam will be produced. Okay. So that connection, please remember always. Omission of any Nitya or Naimittika karma will produce Pratyavaya papam, which means the karma which should have cleaned your accumulated papam has not happened. Okay, there's another example which, of course, Sadananda doesn't name. It's called Grahana Tarpanam. So whenever an eclipse takes place, a particular ritual is done. That is called a Grahana Tarpanam. And if that is not done, again, because it is a mandatory karma, it's a Nitya karma, or it is Naimittika karma rather. So Naimittika karma, because it is done only when an eclipse comes. If it is not done, it will produce Pratyavaya Papa. Okay, now we have covered more of the karma. Last one, topic number 11, we will read. Please unmute yourself. Prayaschittani. It is not praya, it is prayaschittani. Papakshaya sadhanani. Chandrayanadini. Okay, so he is describing prayaschitta karma, karma in the form of a penance. Prayaschitta means penance. And prayashchittam is done for what purpose? He gives the word over here, papakshayam, to neutralize the past papam. Whatever papam has been generated in the past, to neutralize it, papakshayam. Shayam means destruction of. So papakshayam means destruction of the papam which has been done earlier. That is called prayashchittam. And he gives an example. Chandrayana Deni. There is a particular ritual which is called Chandrayana ritual. It's a fasting ritual. Okay, so you begin with it's spread over 2 particular cycles of the moon. So you start with your full meal, and it's an interesting ritual. Like you start with, on the first day you have your full meal as usual, and then on the day after that, after you start, it has to coincide with the lunar cycle. Okay, so that's why. On the second day, what you will do is you will reduce 1/15th of the quantity. On the second day, third day, again you reduce one more 1/15th, and therefore by the 15th day, what will happen? On the 15th day, you will be fasting, right? And then you start again, and the other on the 16th day. This time you add 1/15th every day. So by the end of the cycle, you have come back to normal food. So in the first day of the cycle, you will start with normal food, you keep reducing, come to fasting totally, then keep increasing. The end of the cycle, you come to full food again. So it's supposed to be a ritual which is done to neutralize your papa. Okay, and these kind of papams are what? Because this doesn't mean that you should deliberately do papam. Okay, that is not what Veda is saying. But there are unavoidable papams which we have discussed earlier. These are called, they've got a technical name. These unavoidable papams are called suna. So suna is a technical word which you will hear again and again when we are doing Shastra. So suna is neutralized by Panchamahayagnya, and Panchamahayagnya done for this particular purpose, that will be called Prayaschittani. Okay. Also, rituals like Chandrayana, etc., they also are used to as Prayaschitta karma to neutralize these particular papas. So we have discussed 5 types of karmas. What are they?
Kamya karma, Nishiddha karma,
Nitya karma,
Naimittika
karma.
Naimittika, and Prayas.
So what you should do is, while the discussion here is in a particular order, you should remember Nitya Naimittika first, then Kamya, then Prayaschitta, Nishiddha, and then Prayaschitta. Okay. So out of these, 3 are to be performed, which is what?
Nitya Naimittika
And
Prayaschitta.
Prayaschitta. Nitya Naimittika, Prayaschitta will be performed, and Kamya, Nishiddha to be avoided. Generally, we say that you definitely have to perform Nitya Naimittika and Prayaschitta if there have been, papams of that sort. And Kamya karma you should try to reduce, and Nishiddha karma you should avoid totally. So this is what the entire karma topic is now over. Now we're going to start on Upasana topic. Before that, I'll just throw it open for any questions on the karma aspect. Remember that we are discussing in much more detail than we discussed in Tattva Bodha. And you will not find this kind of detail in any other text. Though we have been talking about this during the Bhagavad Gita classes, but they're all drawn. All discussions are being drawn from here.
Acharya.
Yeah.
Can you give an example of suna?
Anything what I call kill a cockroach you find in your room. That's suna.
Okay.
Okay. So anything. You kill a spider hanging over your head. That's suna.
Acharya.
Yeah.
So this the fasting thing, Chandrayana.
Yeah.
So is it some particular ritual we need to do, or like we can just follow every day, just with the intention of?
If you are going to do that ritual, then you should. There are some mantras and all that. You have to learn properly from some, karma kanda priest, and those mantras will be chanted, and this proportion has to be followed. Since most of us are not equipped for all that, I think we should. It's only for informational purposes. Okay. Basically, you can just do some fasting on your own, something like that. Because I don't think we have the wherewithal, unless you are exposed to a Vedic, Vedic person who is a priest and who can chant all this and teach you all this. Then certainly you can do this. But once you begin, remember that in today's world, people don't find the time. Earlier on, this was part of your life. You should not be doing it sometimes and sometimes not. Once you start, you should always do it. Otherwise, you use all the compromised versions that we are doing and that we continue to do. Okay, now we look at topic.
Just one question, Acharya.
Yeah.
When we are talking about unavoidable pap, and if we have done so, like we have discussed, you have told us Chandrayudini and this.
Even your Nitya karma is also supposed to be. That's what I said. Nitya karma is karma which avoids, which neutralizes unavoidable papas. That was the definition of Nitya Karma, right? Of Akarane Pratyavaya. What was the thing? Pratyavaya Papam is generated because of not doing of Nitya Karma, which means Nitya Karma gets rid of accumulated Papam. And Suna is also accumulated Papam. So if you do Nitya Karma itself, that can get rid of accumulated Papam. And Nitya Karma you can do easily, right? One thing though you do every week at least once you do Brahma Yajna. That's what we are doing. Manusha Yajna is helping somebody out, doing some charitable work. Deva Yajna you can do everyday puja. Bhuta Yajna you can just leave up, in the old villages you will see people leave out some water for the crow or some food for the cat. All this is easily doable. The only thing is whether we can do it regularly or not with the right attitude.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, now topic number 12. We will read Upasanani
Upasanani
Saguna Brahma Vishaya
Saguna Brahma Vishaya
Manasa Vyapara Rupani
Manasa Vyapara
Shandilya Vidyadini
Shandilya Vidyadini.
All very specific and interesting definitions. You don't find them in Tattva Bodha. What is Upasana? When somebody asks you, what do you say? Meditation. But here Sadananda is giving a very specific definition. He says Manasa Vyapara Rupani. Okay, Manasa Vyaparam. What is Manasa Vyaparam? Manasa is the mind, Vyapara is transaction or activity. So Manasa Vyaparam means mental activity. And in what form? Rupani. In what form is that activity? Saguna Brahma Vishaya Rupani. That mental activity is in the form of and connected with Saguna Brahman. Saguna Brahman means Brahman with form. So all mental activity is not Upasana, right? If you are thinking about the latest movie you saw, that is also Manasa Vyapara. That is also mental activity, but it is not connected with Saguna Brahman, so it is not meditation. If you are focusing on the breath, that is not meditation. Though a lot of people use that, but according to this particular definition, Upasana is very specific. If your mind is connected, thinking thoughts associated with Saguna Brahman, then only it can be called Upasana. Saguna Brahma Vishaya, the subject of Saguna Brahman. So Saguna Brahman is basically Rama, Krishna, Devi, Ganesha, anything. You can have your deity which you worship, Ishtadevata is Saguna Brahman. Vishwarupa Ishvara is Saguna Brahman. The only thing is the physical body has to be withdrawn from the activity. That is very clear because it is Manasa Vyapara, mental activity connected with Saguna Brahman. And he gives an example. Shandilya Vidya Adi. Shandilya Vidya, etc. So Shandilya Vidya is Upasana which is taught by a rishi called Shandilya. That's why it's called Shandilya Vidya. The rishi's name was Shandilya and he taught this Upasana, and that Upasana is mentioned in Chandogya Upanishad. Okay, so it's called Shandilya Vidya. Basically, it's a meditation upon Ishvara as the creator, the maintainer, and the destroyer of the universe. So Ishvara is meditated upon as Srishti, Sthiti, Laya Karta. And that is taught by Chandra Rishi. In case anybody is interested, the Chandogya Upanishad, this third chapter, 14.1, 3.14.1 is the reference. If you have Chandogya Upanishad with you, you can look it up. So Shandilya Vidya is one of those activities, mental activities. Because why is it a mental activity? Because you are meditating upon Ishvara, and that fits the definition, Saguna Brahma Vishaya. So Ishvara is Saguna Brahman only. This Ishvara is which Ishvara? Virat Ishvara, right? So that Ishvara you are meditating upon as the Srishti, Sthiti, Laya Karta. So that is fits the definition of Saguna Vishaya Manasa Vyapara. Okay. Now we look at the topic number 13. So please unmute. Longer reading. Etesham nityadinam
Etesham
Nityanadinam
buddhishuddhi
Buddhishuddhi
buddhishuddhi param prayojanam
Buddhishuddhi Param Prayojanam
upasananam tu
Upasananam Tu
chittaikagrayam
Chittekagrayam
ametam atmanam
Ametamamanam
vedānuvachanena
Vedānuvachanena
brahmana vividishanti yajnena
Brahmana Vividishanti Yajnana
ityadi shrutehe.
Shrutehe
And you'll find some mysterious things. Bru 4422. What is that?
Brihadaranyaka Upanishad.
Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, 4th chapter, 4th section, 22nd mantra. Okay, so he is given the reference also. And then tapasa kalmasham hanti
Tapasakalmasham Hanti
ityadi spatescha.
Ityadi Smritescha.
What is the difference between the first part and the second part? First part was ityadi shrutehe is from Shruti. Second part is ityadi smritehe. It's from Smriti. And the text is given Manu. Manu means Manu Smriti 12.104. That is the reference. Okay. So here you can see that Sadananda is telling us, that I am not inventing these things on my own. Everything is borrowed from Shruti only. Everything has a basic, everything is based. Everything that I am saying has the basis of Shruti. So now he's talking about the phalam of these three karma. What is the phalam of Nitya, Naimittika and Prayaschitta karma? Any phalam has, basically there are two phalams for any karma. One is the primary phalam, primary result, and one is the accompanying or secondary result, right? So in Sanskrit we call it Mukhya phalam, which is primary result, and Avantara phalam. Mukhya phalam is primary, Avantara phalam is secondary result. Okay. Now according to the karma type, the Mukhyam and Avantara phalam will be different. So if you look at the Nitya, Naimittika and Prayaschitta karma, what is the Mukhya phalam? It is a spiritual benefit. Okay. Especially for Nitya karma and Naimittika karma, the Mukhya phalam, the primary result is spiritual benefit, whereas the secondary result, the Avantara phalam, can be material prosperity. It can be. So we are saying here that it is not necessary that spiritual activity will not produce material benefit. But any spiritual activity mandated by Veda, for example, Nitya karma, it has to produce first the spiritual benefit, and it might produce material benefit, but that material benefit for the seeker is secondary. From the point of view of the observer, he might find that material benefit is more, but the seeker, the sadhaka himself, for him, he knows that the spiritual benefit is the most, and material benefit, even if it is there, it is only secondary. That is in the case of Nitya Naimittika karma. How about Kamya karma? Kamya karma is exactly the reverse. The Mukhya phalam, the primary benefit, is material, and spiritual benefit is secondary, Avantara phalam, which is of course of the spiritual benefit in the Kamya karma, remember, will be much less than the spiritual benefit in the Nitya Naimittika karma. So this is what is being said here. Look at the statement, the text. Etesham nityadina. For these three types of karma. which is what Nityadi means, Nitya, etc. But Nityadi here means 3 types of karmas. Which 3?
Nitya
Nitya
Naimittika
Nitya Naimittika,
Prashchita.
Prayashchita. Prayashchita. Why? Because they are the ones which are said to be, which you have to do. And therefore he says, Etesham Nityadinam, for Nitya, Naimittika and Prayashchita karma, Buddhi Shuddhihi Param Prayojanam. Param Prayojanam is the main benefit. Mukhya Phalam, Buddhi Shuddhihi. What do we call Buddhi Shuddhi in our language?
Chitta Shuddhi.
Purification of the mind.
Chitta
Chitta
Shuddhi.
Shuddhi, right? So Buddhi Shuddhi means it's a result of spiritual punyam. This is the result of karma yoga, which we call Nitya Naimittika Prayashchita. Okay. Remember that this idea is not new, that karma yoga will produce Chitta Shuddhi. We have seen it everywhere starting from Tattva onwards. But it's always been something which we have extracted and told you. What is the difference here? Sadananda specifically mentioning it. So if somebody is asking you, where is it specifically mentioned? What is the pramanam for the fact that karma yoga produces Chitta Shuddhi? You can say, point to this particular verse, VedantaSaara, and say, here it is. So that is the thing. Then he says, tu, but upasananam chitta ekagryam. This also we have seen. For upasana, the primary benefit is what? You have to supply over here. Upasananam chitta ekagryam param prayojanam. For upasana, the param prayojanam you have to supply. The main benefit is chitta ekagrata. Focusing capacity of the mind is increased. So, and the author says that this is not my idea, because it is taken from the scriptures. I have Veda Pramanam to prove it. Remember that for us as Vedantics, any Shruti statement which is given in support of our ideas, that is the very basis. Whatever we say is an interpretation of the Shruti or of even normal ideas in Vedanta, it has to be supported by Shruti somewhere. Then only it has sanctity. Otherwise, if you are, giving interpretations coming from your mind and not supported by Shruti, then it has no sanctity for the Vedantic seeker. So ultimately, whatever I am saying or whatever my Guru told me, all its basis has to lie in Vedanta somewhere, has to lie in Shruti somewhere. Then only it has sanctity. Because Shruti is the Pramana for us. We don't question the words of the Shruti. We can interpret them differently, we can rationalize them, but we don't question the words. And therefore, here he says that there are these ideas which I am mentioning, they are there in Shruti, and not only Shruti, they are there in Smriti also. So he says, Sametam Atmanam Vedanu Vachanena Brahmana Vividichanti Yajnena. This is found in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. So he says that Brahmanas, here Brahmana is the student, the Vedic student, the Vaidikas. When the Vaidikas, by following Yajnena, by following Yajna, what is Yajna? The rituals of Karma Kanda, which means Nitya Karma, Naimittika Karma, and Prayashchita Karma. So these Brahmanas, these Vaidika students, what do? They follow the Yajna, rituals, which means Nitya, Naimittika, and Prayashchita Karma. And not only that, they do Vedanu Vachanena. So Veda Anuvachanam means repeating the words of the Veda, which means Veda Parayanam. We are not talking about Veda Adhyanam. There's a difference between Veda Adhyanam and Veda Parayanam. Parayanam is just chanting the Veda. Adhyanam is studying in the way we do, right? By word, grammar and all that comes, that is Adhyanam. So here he says, two things they do. They follow Yajnena, they follow the rituals, Nitya, Naimittika, Prayashchita, and they do Parayanam, Veda Anuvachanena. What happens to them? They get Sametam Atmanam Vividishanti. They get the desire for knowledge of the Atma. For knowing Brahman, they get the desire. When do you get the desire? This from here you have to extract. Here the Shruti says that if you do Karma Kanda rituals properly, And if you chant the Vedas, you will develop a desire to know Brahman. And now we know that to get that desire to know Brahman, the right amount of maturity of mind has to be there. Chitta Shuddhi has to be there. And therefore, here you have to extract saying that by doing Karma Kanda, by doing Nitya Naimittika Prayaschitta Karma, and by doing the Parayanam, Veda Anuvachanena, what happens is that Chitta Shuddhi develops. And because of Chitta Shuddhi, you have Vividishanti Tametam Atmanam. The knowledge for knowing Brahman is kindled in you. Okay. The original mantra in Brihadaranyaka is slightly different. It has only Tametam in it and not Tametam Atmanam. This Atmanam part is an insertion by Sadananda for the sake of clarity. Since the original mantra is very, very long and complex, he has taken only part of it and he has inserted it over here. So for our own clarity, he is saying this statement, this Veda mantra found in Brihadaranyaka, on this basis, I am saying that Chitta Shuddhi is the outcome of doing Karma Yoga and Upasana Yoga. And he gives not only Shruti, he says, not only Shruti says that, Smriti also says. So he says, Tapasa Kalmasham Hanti, Ityadi Smritehe. So this is from Manusmriti, chapter 12, verse number 104. It says, Tapasa Kalmasham Hanti. Kalmasham is what? Impurities of the mind. What are the impurities of the mind? Raga and Dvesha. Hanti means what? Destroyed. Tapasa Kalmasham Hanti. By austerity. And this tapasa here is to be connected to our discussion. Nitya Naimittika Prayaschitta Karma is tapasa. Is the tapas. So by doing Nitya Naimittika Prayaschitta Karma, Kalmasham Hanti, Raga and Dvesha are destroyed. And Sadananda doesn't give the rest of the line of Manusmriti, which is Vidyaya Amritam Ashnute. So those, they have to be read together actually. Tapasa Kalmasham Hanti, the impurities of the mind are destroyed, which means what? Chitta Shuddhi happens. And because of that, Vidyaya Amritam Ashnute. Vidya means the knowledge. Because that it comes to Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, and then he gets the knowledge, Vidyaya. Because of that Vidya, Amritam Ashnate, he becomes immortal. Very beautiful explanation of Chitta Shuddhi. I'll stop here in case any questions are there. You have to be able to think critically in these matters, because if you are just listening to what I am saying and the words are not making an impact, or you are not doing mananam over the words, then the understanding won't be enough to give you, the necessary insight. Okay, now we look at verse number 14. Is the Sanskrit too hard for you? I'm trying to make it as simple as possible.
No, sir, I think it's okay.
No.
Okay, it's okay.
I think आप बहुत अच्छे से explain कर रहे हैं.
So let us go to topic number 14. We will chant. Nitya Naimittika Yoho Upasana Nam tu
Upasana
Avantara Phalam
Avantara
Pitraloka Satyaloka Praptihi. Karmana Pitralokaha Vidyaya Devalokaha Ityadi Shrutehe. So that is from Brihadaranyaka again, 1:5:16, chapter 1, section 5, 16th mantra. Now, he talked about the Mukhya Phalam, the primary Phalam in the last verse. Now he speaks about Avantara Phalam. That is why he says Avantara Phalam. Upasananam to avantara phalam. Okay. What does it mean? Nitya naimittika yoho, for the karmas of nitya karma and naimittika karma and upasana also, there is a avantara phalam, there is a secondary phalam. So nitya naimittika yoho upasananam, for four things, for three things, for nitya karma, for naimittika karma and for upasana, he says avantara phalam tu, there is a secondary benefit, which is what? Pitraloka praptihi, the attainment of Pitralokaha, and Satyaloka praptihi, the attainment of Satyalokaha. So Pitraloka is another name for Swargaloka. You have to remember that. Satyaloka is another name for Brahmaloka. Okay. How do you know? Somebody might ask. How do you know that by doing Nitya Naimitya Karma, how do you know that I will go to Swargaloka? And by doing Upasana, how do you know that I will go to Brahmaloka? So he says this is again not my idea. He quotes Shruti, Karmana Pitralokaha Vidhyaya Devalokaha. So by karma, you go to Pitraloka. Vidyaya, so we have to be carefully note here, Shankara mentions this specifically. Vidyaya here doesn't mean knowledge. Vidyaya here means Upasana. Therefore, Upasanaya Devalokaha is the reading. Therefore, Karmana, by karma you go to Pitraloka, by Upasana you go to Devaloka. Which means, if you do Nitya Naimittika Karma properly for the whole life, you go to Swargaloka. And if you add Upasana to that, then you go to Brahmaloka. And we saw this in the 8th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. What happens to the person who has done Upasana all his life. Okay. Now, we go to topic number 15. We will repeat that. Sadhanani
Sadhanani
Nitya Nitya Vastu Vivekaha
Nitya Vivekaha
Iha Mutrartha Phalabhoga Viraga Samashamadhi Shakkaha Sampatti Mumukshatvani. Okay, this is at least familiar to everybody, right? So he's saying sadhanani. So chitta shuddhi and chitta ekagrata was mentioned earlier as primary benefits. And the same thing he is now presenting it here, but in the technical language. He is using the technical verb sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. So is sadhanani, the first word. Sadhanani means the four phalams. Sadhanam is a product, the phalam of karma, of sadhana. So sadhanani, the four phalams, which will be a result of karma and upasana, are nitya, anitya, vastu vivekaha. That is one of the phalams. What does it mean? Nitya, anitya, vastu vivekaha means what?
Discrimination between
Permanent and
between what is
permanent
permanent
and
what is
impermanent,
not
real
the viveka, the discriminative ability to figure out what is permanent and what is not. That is called nitya, anitya, vastu viveka. We saw that Tattvabodha also. Then second phalam is iha mutrartha phalabhoga viragaha. So here artha, iha amutra artha. Artha here is padartha, means phalam, right? Remember that all padarthas are basically, all phalams are a result of karma, and therefore he says iha amutra artha, any object, either iha, either in this world, or amutra, or in the next world, which is by way of phalabhogaha, which is by way of the result of that karma, viragaha, dispassion for their enjoyment. Phalabhoga means enjoyment of the fruit. Phalam is the fruit, bhoga is enjoyment, iha is here, amutra is next world, artha is padartha, which is to be taken as phalam. a result of karma. So iha amutra padartha means the phalam which is found either here or in the next world, which is to be enjoyed. Phala bhogaha. Viraga means there's a dispassion. He's got dispassion for that particular phalam. Either any product of karma, either here or in the next world, he is dispassionate towards them. That is the second one. First one is nitya, anitya vastu. Second one is ihamurthata phala bhoga viraga. We are just following the tattvabodha exactly over here. Okay. The third one is shamadhi shatka sampatti. So he just gives the names over here. Shamadama, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha, Sabadhanam. He himself will explain all these later. And Mumukshatvani, strong desire for moksha. Having named these benefits, these phalams, now he will take up each of these terms for detailed explanation in the next verses. We'll do one more for today, then we'll stop. Topic number 16. Nitya Nitya Vastu Viveka.
Vastu viveka.
Tavad Brahmaiva Nityam Vastu. Tato Anyat. Akhilam Anityam Iti. Vivechanam. Okay. So, easy to follow. Nitya, Anitya, Vastu, Vivekaha, Tavat, Tavat. This particular difference between Nitya, Anitya, Vastu, what is it? What is that difference? He has said that you must know difference between Nitya, Anitya, Vastu. Tavat. What is the difference? The difference is Brahmaiva Nityam Vastu. Only Brahman is Nityam. And Tato Anyat, apart from that Brahman, Akhilam Anityamiti. Everything else is Anityam. You can follow? Brahmaiva Nityam Vastu. What is he doing? This is an explanation to Nitya Anitya Vivekaha. The difference between Nitya Anitya is called Vivekaha. And what do you mean by that difference? The difference is Brahmaiva Nityam Vastu. Nityam Vastu is Brahman alone. That is why Eva, Brahma, Eva. Only Brahman is Nityam Vastu, is Nityam. And Tataha Anyataha, other than that Brahman, Akhilam Anityam Iti. Every other Vastu is Anityam. And Vivechanam. Such an understanding is called Nitya Anitya Vastu Vivekaha. So with this, we'll stop for today. Next class onwards, we'll look at Vairagya. Any questions?
Yeah. Not ask or doubt the scripture or like whatever is written in scripture, but I just wanted to ask that this vidya, somewhere it is being used for jnana, somewhere in here you said it's used for upasana.
Yes.
So like I don't know whether I should ask. So how, whether Shankaracharya too, I mean, was it written or like,
No,
I don't know what is my question.
You have to always look at the context. Okay. So if you come across the term Vidya in a section dealing with Upasana,
Okay.
then it is taken as Upasana. If you come across the word Vidya in a section dealing with Jnanam, then it's taken as Jnanam. It's very simple actually. But of course, even in spite of that, Shankara makes the attempt to tell us. And therefore, any of these texts, Shankara Bhashyam is, any of the text means, because we are talking about the Upanishad there, you have to have the Shankara Bhashyam to be able to understand. And therefore, for those of us who don't study Shankara Bhashyam, we take the words the teacher, because he would have studied Shankara Bhashyam and then he will tell you that Shankara said this. So that is how you study.
Thank you.
Okay. So Is your head getting overloaded by any chance?
No.
No, Acharya.
No, sir.
So I would request you all to please go over this 3-4 times, make your notes, and then
Yes.
ask questions in the group. Because unlike Tattvabodha, this is very serious discussion. And as you progress, you'll find that it becomes more and more serious. And therefore, you must be constantly in touch with what we have studied. If you do that, I can promise you that by the time this text is over, your idea of Tattvabodha would have expanded by a huge amount. You'll be very clear about the basic terms being used or how they are being used and where they have come from. So with this, we'll stop.
So one,
Yes, please.
so one question. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like in today's life, we all do some sort of things which we are not supposed to do. And at times we just commit it or do it. So what kind of karmas we need to do it so that we can, like we have done it, like I have done it something and I was aware while I was doing that this is not the right thing. So how I can overcome it, how I can do the prayashchit kind of thing for that in a
Prayashchita is
practical
pretty
life.
simple. If you have hurt somebody, and
Mhm.
it could be hurt mental hurt, or it could be physical hurt, or it could be financial hurt. So depending upon what sort of hurt it is, you try to rectify that. If it is a mental hurt, you go and apologize and resolve not to do it again.
Okay, sir.
If it's a financial hurt, you do restitution. You try to compensate that person for what you have done.
Yes,
No,
sir.
it's
But
all
when you're
common
saying
sense.
rectify it, at times what you have done, you cannot undone it. So how we can rectify it by not doing or by not repeating the same action?
No, you can't rectify that. You have already built up the papa for that. That is why you
Yes,
do
sir.
your Nitya Naimitya Karma.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for your
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.